No. All right. You just hand it to me when you're ready.
Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of the Austin Modern Home Tour 2021. I'm James Lazier with the Modern Architecture Design Society here with Ken Shallcross, my partner from the Bronx, and our great architects and designers right here in Austin, Texas. I want to thank J. Christopher Architecture and FA Homes for being our sponsors this year. Thank you so much. Also want to thank Deborah Main Designs. Deborah Main, the Pillow Goddess, has been with us all day here yesterday and today. She's awesome, and we love her. And also Ruby Cloutier from Vaso Spaces did a lot of work on some of the tour homes this year. So thank you for that. We got a great lineup today, starting off here with Barley Pfeiffer in just a moment. We'll talk more about them in a sec. I had one quick question from people yesterday. They wanted to know when the videos of the tours will be available. All of the homes videos, all the recordings will be available within about a week, hopefully sooner. And you'll get an email on those that'll tell you how to access all the tour videos not too long from now. So thanks for your patience there. Once they're recorded and cut, we'll upload them. You'll be good to go back and watch anything you missed, tour the homes, and all that good stuff. Today, Barley Pfeiffer leads us off. Great guys, been with us for a long time. We love their work. We're so thrilled they're here with us again today. And a little later, a couple more guys that have been with us for a long time as well. So it's a great day for us here at the home tour. And Ken, why don't you kick us off?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us again today for day 2. We have another 4 segments lined up, 2 in the morning. We'll take a lunch break, and then we'll have 2 in the afternoon. Leading off our day 2 is a very special presentation by one of our really probably the biggest supporter we have down in Austin, the architecture firm that has been with us pretty much every year, people that I look forward to seeing every year. And I was really sad that I didn't get to take the trip down to see them in person. Barley Pfeiffer Architecture. Barley Pfeiffer Architecture's core strength is designing high-performance homes and buildings that are both beautiful and timeless. They're recognized for their attractive design, integrity, and the ability to stand up to the elements. Barley Pfeiffer homes become less expensive to own, operate, and maintain, and they're healthier to occupy, and they're more comfortable to live and work in. The 2 gentlemen you see sitting at the table right there on the right is Alan Barley, AIA. He holds Texas licenses in architecture and interior design. He's the lead designer and artist for this award-winning firm. Alan's design success is due to his uncanny ability to synthesize client visions and needs to create stimulating and elegant architectural forms and spaces. He's known for his ability to draw realistic images of the collaborative thoughts during the in-person or virtual design meetings. On the left, his partner, the other half of the name on the sign, architect, interior designer, and building science consultant, Peter Pfeiffer, FAIA. He is professionally licensed in Texas, my state of New York, New Jersey, and Oregon, as well as the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards. He was named a fellow of the American Institute of Architects for his lifelong achievements in mainstreaming green building. In fact, he was one of the earlier architects in America to be recognized for green building practices. So Alan and Peter are here to discuss blending modern home designs with high-performance building strategies. They're going to showcase 2 recent Barley Pfeiffer architecture projects. The first one is Skyview Independent, which we have not seen, and again, could not get a 3D model scan of for privacy reasons, but they have a lot of great photos to show and to walk us through. The second home is called Lost Creek Remodel. If for some reason we start running short on time, please know that this summer, I actually wrote a piece about Lost Creek Remodel. I love this house. The transformation is absolutely unbelievable. The piece I wrote has a lot of before and after photos, but they are going to walk you through, and it's much more interesting to hear them talk about it. But if we run short on time, we can read about it. So, Alan and Peter, welcome, gentlemen. Please, let's dive in.
Thank you. All right. Well, let's get right into this Skyview Independent. All right, Vanessa, I need one little thing. It's not advancing. So is it not? Oh, that one. Hi, guys. This is Alan and me. We've already had that introduction. You know, what we want to talk about, we want to use this venue to not just talk about modern design and modern architecture, but also to see how it can still work very well with environmentalism and the added comfort and durability and resiliency you get when you do high-performance homes. So here are 2 examples of how we've done this. But before we get there, I want to talk about the basics of what brought us to there. And we've been into green building for about 34 years now. And green building to me just boils down to these three basic elements. It's reduced consumption of stuff, building materials, water, energy. It's improved health. Indoor air quality is a large factor now in a lot of people's homes, and reduced environmental impact. Let's try to build where we're going to not screw up the environment any more than we have to. Over the years, though, we realized that we had to put it into terms that the buyer could understand, and these are the terms we came up with. If you do a high-performance home, it'll be less expensive to own because your water bills, your energy bills will be less, and you'll have less maintenance of the home. That's why you're going to see some of the design attributes we have. Almost every one of our homes has significant overhangs to protect the windows and the walls beneath them. Believe me, we know from experience, if you don't, you have bought a maintenance nightmare.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is improved health. Cleaner indoor air quality is a big deal these days, but you get some other nice things about it, like better humidity control. You get sick less often. And then last but not least is the greater comfort you get, because we really work on the design to make it so we don't just get natural lighting, but balanced natural lighting, so you have less glare, more even temperatures from one room to the next, and of course the homes are quieter because of the wall systems we use. Al, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Keep going.
All right. So how do we accomplish it? Over the years, we saw, keep it simple. Don't rely on gizmos and complicated things like tankless water heaters and solar panels and geothermal heat pumps. They all have their place, but they break and they need maintenance. So let's start off by relying on thoughtful, climate-sensitive design instead of things. And to do that design, you have to have programming sessions with your clients, not only to find out what the client wants, but why do they want it? What's behind it? What are their goals? And we need to understand that, because we then could talk about perhaps some other more creative solutions they haven't thought about. And also, what are the consequences of what they want? If they want floor-to-ceiling glass, but their site is facing west, I think we feel it's important to talk to them about how that may not be a good decision to live with over the long run. So don't forget the value of programming. And while we're doing programming, we talk about life cycle costs. I know the building industry in the past 15, 20 years has really gotten fixated on the lowest cost per square foot to build the house. But we're trying to open up our homeowners' minds to, look, if you do some upgrades and do some things a little bit better, it'll still be a less expensive home to own over the years. This slide shows that the construction cost of the house ends up being about a quarter of the owning cost of the house over the next 25 years. So a little bit more effort put in up front can pay huge dividends for the next 20, 30 years. All right. So I'm probably going to toss it to Alan here, where we're going to look at Skyview Independent and the original concept sketches. Alan's going to talk about that and the siting of the house.
Well, these are conceptual drawings that we do at the front end of the project. And as you see, they're very sketchy, but they start to crystallize the ideas of the client on paper. And I'm the one drawing these drawings you see here. And you see there's a lot of notes, a lot of discussion, but it becomes a quick way to allow the client to begin to visualize the imagery of their house. And as you notice on the floor plan, you can see that we have furniture in these drawings very early on. And we're also considering where to put mechanical systems at this early stage. All these factors become part of the design, part of the concept, so that they all have a proper place. And then we look at imagery of the house too and think about materials. Here's they're hand drawn. We're looking at site-specific room placement. We're looking at how the house sits on the property, addressing solar, wind, topography, utility issues early. Furniture layout determines the room sizes. All of our plans, one of the criteria is that we're thinking about simplified circulation. And we also favor open plan arrangements, which allow us to build smaller houses. And again, as I said before, mechanical systems are interjected here at this early stage.
So let me jump in now. when we say up there, site-specific room placement, as you'll see on this slide, we put the garage and the mechanical room, garage and utility space to take up primarily the west facade, because we don't want that heat. And those rooms can take the heat better than, for example, the master bedroom or the family room.
And might I say here, at this point, the people that are working on this project at this time are me and Peter. So we're still the ones doing the initial design, doing the initial conceptualizing, and bringing 30 plus years of experience into every one of the houses that we do. And again, more of the imagery here very early on in the process.
One of the things you're going to see integrated into this design particularly well is what we learned when Al and I were both at the University of Texas's School of Architecture in the early 1980s, where in the Dark Ages, that's right. We had a professor who was wonderful. He was a physicist, but he said something that really struck. He said, think about what enhances your personal comfort, what you do to yourself to make you feel more comfortable. Like in the wintertime, you might put a heavy overcoat on, but in the summertime, you might get out of the sun and stand in the shade. He said, then design your building with that in mind. So in our area here in Austin, I don't know how many of you are looking from a different perspective, but here in Texas, it's hot. And if you don't design to respond to the heat, you're not going to be doing your clients a favor. The heat comes from two basic places. Well, three really. Radiation coming through the roof. So we try and heating up the attic and heating up the house. So we really take some extra, we've got some pretty interesting roof structures that we've designed that really make the roof act like a shading umbrella. And I don't think today is the day to go into that stuff, but you'll see the concept. The other thing we do, though, is keep the sun off the windows. That's tremendously important for balanced daylighting and for comfort here. And the third place the heat comes in is through infiltration of outside air, which is why we build tight houses. But just look here at how much the vocabulary of shading the windows define this design.
Oh, wow.
Again, here, this is very early on. This is the next stage just after I've drawn the conceptual drawings. We then put the house in the computer and begin building an initial computer model to help the clients see more visually what the house is looking like, and then they can give us better input back about the things they like and don't like. It also allows us to test the shading here. So Skyview independent. This is a quick shot showing it sitting on its site. And Peter, maybe we'll move on to the next slide, which is here. And the home on Skyview Independent is sited to allow the long faces of the house to face north and south. This is that site-specific siding that we've talked about. The overhangs are sized using sun angle calculators. We have overhangs over all the house, and these are protecting each window from the rain and the sun. We're also using extensive use of non-painted exterior surfaces. This increases the durability of the house.
Yeah, that metal, that siding you see is actually a pre-finished metal. And then, of course, there's stone. So this house won't need to be repainted or have much maintenance done to it for at least the next 25 years.
And another site-specific concept we like to do is place the detached garage in a way so that it shields the house from the western sun.
Let's move on to, let me see, the roof sloping to the south with a strong part of this design, because this house runs itself off of solar PV, of photovoltaics. Now, I know I said it earlier in our talk to not be so relying on the gizmos or the complicated things. The house is a marvelously efficient structure in terms of its lower cost of use, energy costs, and lighting and things like that. But it's sort of nice that we pre-wire all of our houses for solar, and this one was, and the client decided at the last minute, sure, let's put 8 or 9 kilowatts of solar on the roof, and what we don't use will contribute back into the grid. Lots of windows facing to the north where we get the more balanced light. So you see that overhang or that roof shape is opening up to the north light. Al, do you see anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, we like to think of the houses like this. If you took away all the systems to cool and heat a home, the house should be comfortable to live in throughout the year without those systems, especially important in light of the past couple of weeks ago. This house is going to perform very well by itself. And then when you add the systems all work better. But another important fact to say is that we have to use less systems to operate this house.
So resiliency is what Al's referring to there. This house could still be comfortable to live in if the air conditioning system or the power was out in the summer. So I'm just going to go through a few images here.
This is the drive-through, call it a porta cochere, call it a covered drop-off. You drive through here, you can access the front door at this point, or drive around to the detached garage further down.
The entrance is placed so that when you come in the front door, you get to see these wonderful hill country views right through the house.
Which in walking on the property, we found a very special spot accessing a particular view, and we all decided this is where we want to put the front door. This is where we want to enter the house. And once we walk in, we see through the vista.
There you see a bit more of it with an outdoor eating area placed in a perfect position to enjoy this. But let's go inside and talk about the advantages of a one-room wide house. Al, I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. The one-room wide house, this is how you achieve a very vibrant indoor daylighting quality to the house. So we don't like to rely on having to use lamps and lighting during the day. Of course, people do, but we like to pull in light from several sources, and especially if we can, we like to take advantage of the north light. The north light is basically free reflected light, and when you combine that with southern light, you really get a very vibrant interior, a vigorous, vibrant interior space. And the one-room wide house allows us to pull in windows from both ends of it. It maximizes the interior daylighting. One room wide really allows enhanced airflow through the house. So again, if the house has no electricity running to it and the solar array is potentially down, you could open up the windows in the summer and you have a comfortable house.
Yeah, that's important to get enhanced cross ventilation or natural ventilation.
Now, the open and some other features of the open great room concept. There's more connection for the inhabitants. Usually houses are built around the kitchen, and the rooms of the house are situated around that. So the kitchen is the hearth. The open plan also allows us to build a smaller house because we share space. It's a more efficient use of space. In this house, we have this unique kitchen island dining room table combination that we're trying out, and it's been very successful for the client. The screened in porch is all, as you see there on the right, becomes another immediately accessible living space from the kitchen, and that placement allows those rooms to be used quite often in our houses.
The screened in porch has got to have proximity to the kitchen. We've done so many of them over the years that we've realized if you don't pay attention to that, it's not going to be a very used room.
It also has to have proximity to be able to get air movement to it too. So its placement on the side is important.
Now, you want to let me take this one a bit. In the kitchen is where you use the most amount of energy in a house.
Okay.
So it stands to reason that you don't just want to have energy efficient or good appliances. But what's really important and not so understood is the quality of light and the light reflecting surfaces. A light colored countertop, for example, will require 1/3 as many lumens coming out of the lights above it to allow you to see that tomato that you're dicing. So we really try to discourage our clients from doing any kind of darker colored countertops because it's just too tough on the eyes, but it also affects the air conditioning load. The less lighting you have to make the kitchen well lit, the less heat that's put into the house. Yes, even LED lamps heat up, and therefore the less air conditioning. Who would have guessed, but it's true. You can save about a half a ton of air conditioning capacity.
One of our primary kitchen ideas that we've developed over the years has proved very successful. If you look at the top right photo on the right side, you'll see a desk in the background there around the corner. That's the second kitchen. That came from the idea of a butler's pantry in many older homes, but we've modernized the concept and we've made it immediately accessible to the main kitchen, and it provides a place for all the other things that want to be in a kitchen to be located, but not necessarily be seen from the main space.
That's a big deal with these open plan contemporary homes that we learned over the years. You have to give the homeowner a chance to keep the house looking neat if they don't have a cleaning service or they don't want to be cleaning the house every day. So let's have the things that'll be a clutter on a countertop in a part of the kitchen that's not open to the view.
And this next slide shows this. And as you see here, we have the secondary kitchen with the pantry storage and lower cabinets on the right, and then additional appliances located on the left, and a place for somebody to set up a computer and work on recipes or check email, immediately accessible to the kitchen.
Let's move into the screened-in porch, because this is something we just love doing. I'll say a few things about this. What we learned is you don't want to have too much opening. You notice on the upper picture, the west-facing wall, we're just letting the natural light come in from the top screens. We don't necessarily want to encourage the cold winter winds that come out of the west and northwest to blow through there. But we do open things, looking at the lower right-hand image, we do open things up quite a bit more towards, in this case, the swimming pool and the east and the northeast. So there's a lot of subtleties to this room placement. You'll notice something else that's kind of neat, those lights underneath the TV and other places that just give you little pools of light on the floor so you can stay out there at night and enjoy the night sky, but still see where you're walking or enjoy the darkness without, you won't see many recessed lights. You won't see any recessed lights up in the ceiling because it spoils the effect. We want you to enjoy this outdoor living room.
And here's a subtle thing that you might not notice at first. These rooms, and as with the other rooms in the house, are sized according to the furniture that's going to be placed in them. So as you look at these particular pictures, there's a very well-proportioned, comfortable space, enough space around all the furniture, but not too much. So as with in any house, we're trying to get the fat out of the floor plan. There's no use to have extra space that's not going to be used because your client's just paying for it. So sizing rooms and proportioning rooms around furniture allows us to use the amount of space that we need and no more.
Let's move forward a bit. Here we're using the stairs that go up to that second level as a thermal siphon to let the air vent out of the house. So as you look on the right-hand slide, those windows are operable. So heat can rise and vent out the house and really enhance the natural ventilation. And now I think what we need to do is keep moving faster because we have a number of slides to go through here. The upstairs space here is open to below, but we had to handle that one carefully too. We want it physically close to the kitchen, but we don't want to make it so that if there's a lot of noise being made by the visiting kids and grandkids, that it bothers the downstairs. So I'm going to correct what I said. It's only partially open to below.
But it's directly above, but visually and sound wise protected. And then right off that main game room space, we have these bunk rooms for the grandkids. There's 8 of them, custom designed to fit this space and to give this sleeping experience a more rustic feel.
That would be fun. We have a drop-off area, the informal entry off the kitchen. You see there's a place you can sit down and take off your shoes or boots. You can hang your raincoat or your jacket.
A space that we have in almost every house that we do, a transition point from the car parking into the house.
Now the master bedroom. I like master bedrooms. Well, we ask clients about this, but a lot of them do like them facing east. So they can get woken up in the morning by the sun. Al, what else did you want to add about
Well,
this?
again, the concepts of windows on multiple sides, enhanced daylighting, but also enhanced natural ventilation. And then as you see here, minimal furniture in the room because we have adequate storage in the walk-in closets, but we also have a direct access out to the pool, which was important for this client.
And the walk-in closet is really a dressing room.
Aging in place, there's
Wow.
an elevator here, and also
Safe room, the tornado
a
safe
tornado
room.
room for safety.
Notice the locks on that door.
That's the room that's in the garage right there next to the car.
It is. It's poured concrete. Now this one you can do them to different extents. This one was done to the highest level to withstand an F5 tornado.
Covered porches extend the use of the house through the summer. It gives protection from the sun. But in this case here, these light colored cut stone floors help to add additional reflected light into the house. And it's immediately looking over this
Swimming
pool here.
Yeah.
So we have a question coming real quick, gentlemen, and I, we've been talking about how you build for the climate here, and I'm sure that what happened last week is not typically what we expect. But have you had a chance to circle back with the owners on the how the house performed during the cold snap versus the heat we usually have here?
Yes, we were in touch very closely with them. It's interesting. The emergency generator, which is a major generator, failed because of the gas line froze up, or I should say the regulator in the gas line froze up. So even with it failed, they were still comfortable in the house without energy, without electricity for a few days. The house is super well insulated, and those are very high quality windows and doors in terms of their energy flow.
Designing the house to perform well without systems works both through insulation for the winter and with the shading for the summer. So you can, again, systems will enhance the performance, but the performance has to be there first in the design of the house.
Yeah.
This light colored floor thing Alan mentioned, that's a big deal that we sometimes see people missing. Like they'll do stained concrete porch floors that are dark, and then you're losing a lot of the reflectivity, the daylight into the house.
And Peter, notice, and I just noticed it not right now, you look at the underside of the covered porch roof there, how it's lit up. And
yeah.
That's and that isn't any enhanced photograph. That's just that light sort of reflecting.
Well, actually, Alan, that's a great point. Look at the fire pit at the end of the pool, and you see the sunlight there on the ground, on the deck. That sunlight is bouncing up to the underside of the overhang. You see how much particularly brighter the overhangs there are in the far left-hand corner.
Right.
There's an example of using reflected light to enhance your daylighting inside the home. And I'll jump into this just a little bit. It's a hot water-based heating system. It's called hydronic heating in this house. One very large water heater services the whole house, both for its domestic hot water needs and the heating needs. And it's got an on-demand circulating system. That's a fantastic system if you want to learn about that sometime. And then a 50,000-gallon rainwater collection system. Here you see two of the tanks, 25,000 gallons each.
Wow.
Sole water supply for this house.
Wow.
Al, it's 10:30.
Let's go on.
Let's go on to the Lost Creek renovation.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question about Skyview? You said they're very high performance windows that are in there. What brand were they?
I know most of the windows were Marvin. I think they were all Marvin on this one.
We like Marvin.
This amount of respect for Marvin.
Well, they've got many, many years of working with us. We trust the products. We know them out.
Now, in this last photo, before I leave it, look at the lower right-hand photo. You see those awnings that were placed above the windows? We actually do sun angle calculations to realize that even though we had a large overhang above those windows, it wasn't going to do enough.
Overhangs are essential even with contemporary homes in our climate. Somehow they should be worked in because the house works the best when you stop the sun from hitting the window to begin with.
Yeah.
To say nothing of the rain from hitting it. So let's look. This is an interesting project, the Lost Creek renovation, because originally the client contacted us with the idea that, well, they hired an interior designer, and then they started talking about just wanting to replace the windows. So it was originally just a consultation about what type of windows to go to replace with. But the more we got to understand what the client was looking for, we realized there were a lot of other objectives. Now, if you want to go through this quickly, I want you to just hit it quickly.
Yeah, let's hear the point. Exterior upgrade and repair facade. Remove the exterior view windows at the living room. Put in a new curtain wall system. Take out the 70s vintage stained interior wood surfaces and tile. Get rid of the 70s vintage kitchen. Remove the open air atriums for some reason sitting in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
Remove a structurally failing stone fireplace. There was actually several inches of deflection in the floor structure because of this unsupported stone fireplace that was built in there. And then add additional north-facing clear-story windows and upgrade the entry.
Now, the Lost Creek neighborhood is a dynamic neighborhood. We've done a number of homes new and remodeled in that area. But the reality is that it was built at a time. It was built out at a time when it wasn't subject to city building inspection. So a lot of these 1970s houses just weren't built as well as they should be as they would be with today's standards. So we had to do a lot of de-70sing to this house. It wasn't just from an image point of view, but from a structural point of view.
Now you start to see the transformation begin to take place. The top right photo is the original house, the old limestone, the dark entry, and we started replacing surfaces. We added cut stone. We pulled the entry out into the covered porch, and then a general upgrade of the front yard and all the surfaces.
There's a better view of that. You see how the limestone in the lower right-hand corner was just mildewed and not holding up well, requiring a lot of maintenance to power wash it every year. But of course they don't, because who wants to be tied to their house? So we tried using new materials that won't attract as much dirt.
And you see the two columns are the same column. One's wrapped in the old stone, and we pulled the stone off and wrapped the new one in stucco. And then the new entry doors resulted in a larger entry pulled closer to the front of the house.
There you see the old entry on the left and the newer entry. You see, we pulled the entry further to the to be closer to you. So we made an entry hall inside the house and reduced how long this exterior hallway was leading up to the front door.
And then really back at that slide, Peter, again, the idea of light colored surfaces, as in many places you can put it, add to the open, airy brightness of the space.
Compare the floor on the right to the floor on the left. There's a good example of why light-colored, horizontal reflecting surfaces make a huge difference. If you're going to do accent colors, do them on the vertical surface, the walls, but try to keep your floors and your countertops light in color.
Now the bottom photo, this is the old 70s wood paneling interior with the old saltillo tile. That was a window system that was failing. It was
terrible. It was leaking,
badly performing. So we take it all out. We had a new engineered curtain wall system added in, new flooring, new light colored surfaces everywhere. And it just totally transformed the interior of this house to something different and new.
Here's that fireplace Alan was talking about on the left. That stone was not supported by the floor very well by the floor structure below. It was actually making the center of the living room floor bulge up because it was pushing down on the floor structure at the perimeter of the living room.
This is the same fireplace in the same location with the same firebox. It just has a new surfacing around it.
No, we took off the stone. We had to relieve the weight.
How did that engineering happen in 1970, whatever? Was there no engineering?
You know, houses are much more carefully engineered now. At least custom homes are much more carefully engineered now than they used to be. That's part of it. I don't think, and I'm going to maybe wear some professionalism on my sleeve, I don't think the house was professionally designed. I think it was done by the builder's designer, so they didn't think about a lot of these things. And I know there's a statement there, Jamie, but so be it.
Here's the 70s kitchen. The stained wood walls on the bottom right, the saltillo tile floor. We did, however, like the lighting, the globe lighting that we thought would be a fun reference to keep in. But we, as you see here, we pulled out some vertical walls. We redid the structure, wrapped a lot of the structure in drywall. And of course, a new kitchen, light colored surfaces, modern cabinets, appliances, the whole thing. And And in the background where the statue is on the back wall, that's the converted atrium that we enclosed.
We have a good picture of that coming up. But those globes that are hanging from the ceiling serve another important design service, which is they bring the lighting closer to the task there at the island. It's always going to reduce your lighting needs if you can bring the source of lighting closer to where you need it.
Another view of the same location, but straight on again, the lower kitchen. You can see the atrium in the bottom right photo, the wood lattice panel through the windows. That's the atrium, and total transformation here. Atrium
wasn't doing much good. It was just collecting a lot of moisture that was finding its way into the house.
So here's the atrium. As we walked into it initially, it wasn't any use other than just putting plants in there, and it was one of the main things the owner wanted to take out. And the enclosed atrium now provides additional functional living space for the kitchen and on the way in from the garage.
We had a question about the new wood that was put in front of the fireplace. Do you know what species that was or what the product was?
I'm not sure if those were Western or Alan. What would be the other one have been?
I think the wood paneling from when we were
right there.
We talked about the house before. Walnut.
Go one. 4. No, the other way. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that wood paneling there.
Yeah, right. Those are just cabinet grade panels that are assembled on a frame.
Yeah, I think that's cabinet grade birch actually. And what's neat that you see in this picture is there are LED light strips behind it.
Yeah.
So it's very fascinating at night.
It's set off the wall, so there's indirect lighting going around the 3 sides of it, and underneath the floating hearth too, which you can see a little bit here.
You see the lighting underneath the hearth. So I think there was a Western window system for the living room. Yeah, this shows what was this? The bar area.
Yeah, the wet bar, the same corner, but with again new surfaces. Again, another great example of how a house can be transformed, and it also brings up a greater issue of sustainability because we're trying to not tear down a house and then rebuild a house with all new material, but we're using the materials at hand. We're just resurfacing things, which is a more sustainable way to make use of the existing structure.
You know, we've been talking a lot about this Lost Creek renovation, and we failed to give attribution to Sharon Radovich, Panache Interiors. Sharon Radovich is her name. Sharon brought us this project. We teamed up with her to do it. But as much as we had a lot of fun working with her, we're also seeing that you're seeing a collaboration. For example, Sharon's the one who picked out these finishes and these the door hardware and the wallpaper and stuff like that. But she knew to work with us so that we could still stay true to the things that are important to us, like light colored horizontal reflecting surfaces and things to make it easier for, in this case, a slightly older couple to be able to live in this house for the rest of their lives because it's easy on their eyes, among other things. Just look at the difference between the 2 countertops in this slide. Can you imagine how much more light you need to make up for the fact that that's a black or dark gray countertop on the left?
Yeah.
You can see it.
These houses are true collaborations between architect, interior designer, but even more importantly, owners. And the owners play an integral part in helping us to design the house, even to the point of us together developing conceptual sketches on this table with the owner directing us as to the things they are liking and not liking. Rather than they give us a list of things to do, we draw it up and then they come back and we roll it out on the table. We like to develop concept ideas here at the table together.
Yeah, with them. We draw in real time with them. We don't just listen to them and come back later with an image. It works so much better if you're drawing the new design with the client sitting right there at the table with you, virtually.
And
virtually and
we should say that we've sort of conquered the logistics of how to work either via Zoom. We have cameras and document cameras. And actually, it's as seamless as having somebody here at the table. So either way works well for us. This is a great kind of ending shot to this house, showing the front yard and the entrance back to the street from the entry porch. Quite a transformation.
I have a question. Did y'all do the landscape architecture on this one as well?
We didn't do it, but we coordinated with the landscape design company. I believe this was Annie Gillespie's firm, Vanessa, if you...
It was not.
Oh, well, okay. We collaborated with them. Again, though, you see how we took the theme of the light-colored Luder's tile floor or Luder's cut limestone floor and brought it out to the front walkway and the stairs, so it connected the landscaping to the entry of the house.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Better than using on the upper right-hand corner the red stained decking and the exposed aggregate concrete, which was so popular back in the 70s and 80s.
And also one thing again about all of these light surfaces, whether they're on exterior sidewalks like this or around pools or on covered porches, the light colored surfaces are going to be cooler to walk on. They're going to absorb less heat in the summertime. And again, we have to always think about, in our climate, heat, the extended months of hot weather that we have. You have to have your houses respond to them that way.
You know, Alan, that brings up a good point before we wrap up. We understand the popularity of the very dark exterior color schemes a lot of designers are utilizing for houses. You'll see dark navy blue houses, dark gray, black.
We like them too.
I love it too, but I'll tell you, it's gonna heat up the house significantly more. We recently did an experiment where we had a wall that was facing into the afternoon sun on a house, where part of that wall was painted a chocolate brown and the other part was a robin's egg blue, very light blue. We put a thermometer on both of those walls. The chocolate brown wall was 31 degrees hotter than the light colored wall. So you talk about the job insulation's got to do to resist heat flow. Well, if you got half as much heat trying to flow through the wall system because you had a light colored house, it's going to be a more comfortable house. It really is. And the paint will last longer because it doesn't heat up so much and prematurely degrade.
And Jamie and Ken, I'd just like to say that, with us doing these houses, having practiced here in this area for over 30 years now, I can guarantee you we still have people that will call us up from 25 years ago and will tell us what's not working on the house, or if there's a window failing or something that needs to be fixed. So all these things that we do on our houses is a culmination of all the things that we hear back from decades of designing homes. And that allows us to try to make each house work better.
That's why they call it a practice. You make it better when you get this feedback. But
Sure,
it makes sense.
We're all still learning, right?
Yes,
We are. So how are we doing with time here, guys? Do we have questions? Are there some things we should go back to reinforce?
We've got about 2 minutes. We actually asked the questions as they came in as we went along, if there's a convenient place. We've had a lot of positive comments on the light color scheme and the usefulness of that. So yeah, I think right now we're about ready to wrap up and let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. As a final point, you see, we do like some accent colors. In this house, we have those dark accent colors on the vertical surfaces and facing to the north and in shaded areas. In the areas that are receiving direct sunlight, we avoided the dark colors. All right. Well, Jamie and Ken, this is always fun working with you guys and doing this tour. And folks, if you have questions and you want to develop any of these questions with us some more, this is how you can reach us. Our website is a great way, barleypfeiffer.com. I always like this quote from President Roosevelt, who basically said he recognizes the right and duty of our generation to develop and use our natural resources, but let's not waste them, nor rob others by wasteful use. I think that speaks well. Thank you very much for listening to us today.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. I think I speak for Ken and I. We both agree with that sentiment 100%. And it's one of the reasons why we love working with you guys. We see that in your work every year, every time we work together. And hopefully we'll see you back here in 2022 in person, if not before.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Okay, and guys, we'll be back here in about 15 minutes with Shane Pavanati and his home, Pavanati Architecture. So thanks for starting off the day with us, and we'll see you in 15.
See you in a bit.